Good to go. All right, welcome back to Senate Education. We have two pieces of business left for today. We want to hear, Mr. Flanagan, are you there?
Yep, I'm here.
It's great to see you. I know several of us have crossed paths with you. You're a very popular fellow. Every time I've said, hey, we've got Tom Flanagan coming in, you'll say he's a great guy. So we appreciate having someone in with such a stellar reputation.
Thank you.
And we're excited to hear a little bit more about the needs for Burlington High School in particular here. You know, we have a $16 million appropriation before us, and Senator Ruth, who is a senator from Chittenden County, Senator Hewlett, of course, from Chittenden County, both of whom thought you might be very helpful helping us understand the need a little bit more. So with that, the floor is yours. And again, thanks for joining us.
Awesome. Great. Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. I have a prepared statement, so I'll present that. It has a lot of the information that we think you're seeking, and then also happy to have some conversation at the end too. So thank you all for having me, for inviting me here to address this critical issue. Again, Tom Flanagan, superintendent in Burlington School District. We are the largest single town school district in Vermont. Last school year, we served more than 3,600 students pre-K to 12 across 12 centralized campuses and additional learning locations for BTC classes, Burlington Technical Center, which I will talk about in a minute. In 2018, Burlington voters approved a $70 million renovation project for Burlington High School. While preparing to execute this project, routine testing revealed that the levels of PCBs in the air at BHS and Burlington Technical Center, which shared a campus, were above both the former and current action levels of PCBs. In fact, they were higher. Our consultants told us in some parts of the building, they were higher than they have ever seen them outside of industrial sites. The levels were so high, state agencies strongly recommended closing the facility immediately. We looked for a location for the schools and, with the help of the administration, ended up turning an old Macy's into a high school. It's clean, bright, and big, but it's a temporary building without a number of things a true school needs, like an auditorium, a gymnasium, a working kitchen, windows, and more. It's a suitable temporary option, but not for the long term. What often gets overlooked in this is the fact that the old Macy's wasn't big enough to fit Burlington Technical Center students or programs. Instead, we signed leases all over Burlington and South Burlington to host programs. Even today, our BTC classes are hosted in 5 different locations, costing Burlington taxpayers hundreds of thousands of dollars in rent alone each year, in addition to the $1 million in rent per year for the old Macy's building. Between the high school and the technical center programming, Burlington taxpayers will shoulder a total of at least $5 million in rent. At the same time we were securing these temporary locations, we were looking closely at our original 2018 renovation project that I just mentioned. It quickly became clear that there was no fiscally responsible way to move forward with our plan. We found PCBs in the walls, the ceilings, the glue in our floor tiles that had sunk into and penetrated the floor, the foundation or the concrete flooring underneath the tiles, the caulking around the windows, in the soils, and in the concrete floor, which I just mentioned. In short, the building was totaled. In order to remediate our building, environmental regulations would have required us to remove every source of PCBs. This would have required gutting the entire building at an incredible cost to taxpayers. In some cases, this would have meant removing entire exterior walls of the building. And then, even if we were able to remove all the contaminants, the PCBs themselves had leached so far that consultants said we would never be able to prove our building is PCB free. In the end, we would have been left with a shell of a building that already needed renovation, that would need to undergo costly PCB testing in perpetuity, and then would still need to be renovated. As you can imagine, the only solution for us was to abandon the renovation project and begin planning for a new building. After our school board voted to implement the least expensive of the 3 options of the plan, or the possible plan, Burlington taxpayers were asked to approve a bond for $165 million for the project. The voters approved the bond not because it's something our taxpayers can afford, but because there are no other options. A school is not a luxury, it's a necessity. And every day we went, the longer it took to make the decision, the more expensive it would have been. Through the process, we, along with the Burlington House delegation, assured our voters that we would seek meaningful support from the state to bring down the amount we borrowed. We promised them we would do everything in our power to not borrow the full ask of the bond. The cost estimate for the entire project is nearly $190 million, including roughly $17 million directly tied to environmental cleanup. We are asking the Senate to support the $16 million grant that the House appropriated to BSD to address environmental cleanup. I appreciate your willingness to hear about our struggle, and I'm grateful for your consideration of assistance. So thank you.
Mr. Flanagan, thank you very much. One question, I know this really is it's just weighing on me, is that rent amount. And I don't really, might not, you can feel free to punt this or say, hey, it's not really something you're comfortable answering or even know anything about, but is there some negotiation with these folks and they just, are they Vermonters? Are they, that's a lot of money.
It is a lot of money. There are,
you have to imagine.
Oh, sorry about that.
Oh, no, please go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, as you can imagine, we have a number of different spaces we're renting from. And so we're working with different people. I think that everyone has been fair with us in the rent and in the process of identifying spaces. We had some significant outreach and some good collaboration. So I think it was the best that we could do with negotiation. Most people, we worked closely with the owners of the Macy's, right? So those are a number of local Vermonters who are we've been working most closely with around Macy's, as well as an external partner. But we feel like we got fair deals, and people were willing to lend us and lease us space that is, helping them certainly in the short term, but also those are some spaces, including the Macy's, that ultimately there are plans for, beyond a high school to bring additional revenue to the city and to provide a space there for the city. So, yeah, I would say we believe we negotiated and got, good faith agreements with people, and people wanted to work with us, but it's a lot of square footage that we're looking for across multiple different spaces, and we were in a big time scramble at that point. And so that's
what are your students doing, Mr. Flanagan?
I'm sorry.
How are the students doing?
Oh, they're great. They're great. We've got a really amazing high school. I have two students in my superintendent's advisory group who just rattled off first gen students who just rattled off a list of ridiculous colleges that they've been that they've gotten into. We've got a lot of really positive stuff happening at the high school. We're doing well, but again, it's not the solution long term to be where we are, because it's just not a long term solution on every front. But yeah, kids are doing well. We were losing some students to some independent schools and people moving out. We are back to the same number of students that we had prior to the pandemic. And so we're in a good place in terms of enrollment. So yeah, we're doing well. Teachers are doing well. Yeah, we're in a good place.
Well, I appreciate you saying that, but I know it must be incredibly hard. Senator Weeks.
Thank you, Tom. Just a couple quick questions. So I understand the total project cost is 190 million.
Correct.
Ask in this bill is 17 million. How did you determine that 17 was the right number for the ask?
Well, we asked for, I think we originally asked for 20 because we have a $16 million remediation cost that's just strictly the remediation. And so that's if you look at the overall cost of the project, it's sort of broken down into three big areas. One of the big areas is the remediation and removal of materials, and that's the 16 million. We originally were, because of the renting situation and just the amount of disruption that has happened and the cost of that disruption to the citizens of Burlington, we're feeling like 20 million was an appropriate number. But at this point, we're happy that people are supporting the idea of 16 million and the idea of supporting Burlington in the remediation and removal costs. So that 16 million is the remediation and removal costs only.
Thank you. And then second question is, we understand from testimony that PCBs were a Monsanto product. Is there
Correct.
an active lawsuit between the district and Monsanto?
Yes, there's an active lawsuit.
Is there any, can you make any comment on how old the lawsuit is or what stage it's in or any kind of overview?
Right. So we're in the relatively early stages of that process, and we imagine that will take a number of years to get to a conclusion. We just got over the first obstacle in the process by allowing them negotiating a timeline so that they had the opportunity to get into the building to do some of their own analysis of the building. And now we are past that time and we're able to move in and start the demolition, but we are still early stages in the litigation.
And are you aware of other schools that have had a PCB problem similar to yours that are also pursuing Monsanto? And are you aware of any kind of history or insights in that regard?
Sure. Yes, we are working with a number of law firms who've connected to support us on this, one local to national firms, and there have been other suits against Monsanto for the PCBs, and we believe we have a strong case. Most of the lawsuits, though, around PCBs have been from individuals. And so that's where most of the data comes from around how those tend to play out. But yeah, we have an experienced, very solid team working on it who believes we have a strong case.
Thank you.
Senator Williams.
Just one question. Thanks for your testimony. Are you, can you share how much are you asking for in the suit?
I don't have the exact number. We are the lawsuit is around the harm that that Monsanto caused to the community of Burlington. So we're intentional about not connecting that directly to the funding for the high school, because it's really about something different. It's not about building the new building. It's about the harm caused to the district. So I don't have the exact number for you, unfortunately, but I could send that over.
Any other questions for Mr. Flanagan? No. Senator Hashim? Senator Gulick keeps us updated.
I figured.
Absolutely. You have a big advocate in this room, and we appreciate. And listen, I appreciate hearing how that the students are doing well, but if there is anything that you feel as though we as the Senate Education Committee can do to be supportive, helpful to the students, I don't know, if I were 16 or 17 again, I don't think a visit from the State Education Committee would really lift my spirits. But if you have kids that are, really want to meet us or something or do anything, just let us know. We're a great group and happy to do whatever we can to be helpful, and just know that.
Absolutely. Yeah, I appreciate that a lot. We've got really engaged students. I mean, I'm constantly impressed by our students, and they're engaged and empowered and want to do some work too. So I'm sure they'd love the opportunity to meet some of you or all of you at some point. So thank you for that invite.
Anything else? Okay. Mr. Flanagan, thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.
Everything you do, we really do appreciate it. Doesn't go unnoticed.
Thanks, Tom.
All right. Thanks. Bye, everybody.
Nice guy. Working hard. Okay. So let's pull up our thing.
What are we calling that?
Pulling up this, just little appropriations,
Yeah, so
little, Senator Hashim. You have a question that Senator Gulick asked you to ask?
I think Senator Gulick has a question that she wants me, I'm not sure what that.
I couldn't remember, nor could my colleague. Were we asked by the mentor group for any kind of assistance, financial
You mean the
assistance?
Serve Learner?
No, there's another mentoring nonprofit.
Yes, this, Adult Education Literacy Network, that was,
Maybe, okay, I'll have to do a little digging.
do you mind?
Yeah.
Because just so
I
you
don't
know,
mind.
these are the, there's no real great science to this. What we will hear though, over the next few days is we will get requests back from appropriations as they finish up their work saying, hey, can you talk to these folks? Can you move back to this group? That kind of thing. So they don't have a lot of time down there. They have less time than we do usually. So I think it's usually 10 minutes pop, come in, say your piece. And so that's where the policy committees can be helpful.
So they want to come and ask if we can use a couple million dollars.
What's that?
They will come and ask if we can use.
No, I don't think
We can spend
appropriations,
something.
yeah.
The organization's Mentor Vermont. Did we ever hear from them? No. All right.
I don't think we have, but it doesn't mean, Tom Cheney? I thought we did get an email from them today. Thank you, that's why I looked over, hey, coming in next week. Let's find 10 minutes for Mentor Vermont. We're not trying to, for those watching, we're not trying to pull a fast one on Mentor Vermont. We did receive an email from them, and so we'll have them in for a few minutes next week. We're also hearing from BSAT next week. Good. Great. Anything else?
No.
Okay.
So
So, please go ahead.
are we starting to go through this? list?
Yeah, let's start to go through this. So we, the undersigned senators, and we don't sign it, but the education committee respectfully request that the following appropriations be made in fiscal year 2024 to the following, in the following priority order: for 200,000 for school construction aid, the 16 million for Burlington High School for PCB mitigation, 100,000, 10,000, 10 million for Community College Vermont. I'm hoping that no matter which one of those comes first, second, third, that will, those three things I would think are on everybody's mind out there. I was really compelled by the CCB conversation.
Sure. Who-
And then what we did was we put the 2.4 million from Serve, Learn, and Earn that we heard yesterday, 350,000 for advertising of Vermont colleges and universities. Would you capitalize advocate for advertising? 385,000 Governor's Institute of Vermont. I don't know if you want us to put that. I think we would want to maybe put that at the bottom, given that I think we would want to increase the base of the Adult Education and Literacy Network over, and the Vermont State College system over Governor's Institute. Did that sound accurate to you, Senator Gulick? I'm looking to you.
I mean, we can have a conversation as a committee about that.
People comfortable with that? Again, these are just showing some of our priorities, but putting Governor's Institute as H and just bumping up the Vermont State College system and Adult Education and Literacy Network, bump them up a little bit higher. Everybody okay with that? Yeah.
10 million for the CCB, is that because of their ask?
That's because of their ask from yesterday, which I believe it was the governor's ask. I thought it was great. I thought it was compelling. House pulled off a little bit. We're asking to do the fund the full 10. listen, when it gets down there, they're gonna be picking and choosing, but I'm thinking the three must-start is at A, B, and C. And then happy to send this, and what I would do this evening is send this, we would put draft on it, so this is the final, but this gives Senator Kitchell something to look at over the weekend, and then write back, and then we can add or subtract things next week as we hear more from that committee. I just want them to have something. Yeah.
Discussion item. So
Yeah.
I still have a letter I to a state university system. And I'd like to propose that we add that back in and read some to the effect of relieving the state university system of 500,000 from the second year of the 5 million per 5-year cost reduction imposed by Act XYZ.
So I would ask that we do that after we hear from them on Tuesday, since they may, come in,
I don't know what they're gonna bring in.
Right.
Yeah.
I and then discuss that after we hear from them.
Okay, sure.
Okay. So we'll put draft at the top of this and send it along. Yeah, okay.